Welcome back. This is the last part of this new edition of the Remise Days. First of all, the Student Award and then the Secretary General for the Sea will discuss the matter of young people and the maritime world to close this session. Let me welcome the President of the SNSM, Mr. Emmanuel de Oliveira. Hello. Hello. You are here with the winner of the Student Award, Yann-Marie Collard, who came with Gaël Guéquin-Alouette from the University of West Brittany, and your former internship manager, Hervé Morin, project manager for Maritime Safety at EDF Renewable Energies. Mr. de Oliveira, you have the floor. Thank you. I'm particularly happy today to present this 2021 Student Award to Yann-Marie Collard because the topic of his dissertation is very concrete and quite exciting. I'll come back to it. But first, I wanted to say a few words about SNSM, that I'm the president of, the National Society for Sea Rescue, with 9,000 volunteers over the whole sea coast and ensuring safety from the beach to the high sea. 90% of coastal area rescues are ensured by the SNSM. Our volunteers are available day and night and will sail away in 15 minutes to save people. We saved 30,000 people last year, and there's a different direct connection with insurance. We helped 2,000 ships. The master's dissertation for Yann-Marie Collard, which was about crisis management in offshore wind facilities, is at the heart of our topic, because with the development of offshore fields that are going to spring from the sea very shortly, we're going to have brand new maritime safety issues that we'll need to address, both in terms of preserving lives, in terms of rescue, in terms of crisis management, environmental protection, more broadly management of anything that can happen, because you never know what happens at sea. And at sea, as you know, foul weather is the master of all things, so it's essential to be prepared and well prepared. So, of course, at the SNSM, we are a major player in this new approach to maritime safety. But of course, as usual, we're going to do this with all partners and with the operators of offshore wind farms. In this case here is EDF Renewables that we're welcoming, but also with all the other offshore farm operators that have specific responsibilities in this matter. Before I go further in this debate about your dissertation, Mr. Collard, let's give the floor to Ms. Gaël Guéquin, who was your dissertation manager, supervisor. I'm very happy to be with Yann-Marie Collard on this set today to receive this award. Yann-Marie was my student in 2020. I was really glad to supervise his dissertation on a difficult topic, a very topical issue with very little hindsight. Yann-Marie Collard followed this master in the law of maritime activities that I led. This is a master's course that has existed for 46 years. It started with a degree in 75 and it became a master in 2004. So we've trained a few hundred students since then. And it appears that several representatives of the insurance world today are graduates of this course, and it's a real pleasure. And now we'll have work placements as part of this master's to meet requests by insurers in this respect. I also wanted to remind you that this master's degree is part of a research lab where we conduct fundamental and applied research in the law of maritime activities. It's a mixed lab with CNRS, the University, and Ifremer. I've chaired it since September, and we conduct research on very interesting topics like insurance. So I'm really, really happy for Yves-Marie. It appears that the first award of maritime insurance was given to someone from Brest, and the sixth award is also going to someone from Brest, and I'm really happy for that. Thank you, Professor. Could you explain how your laboratory is involved because of the arrival of new renewables, especially offshore wind? Well, the deployment and upcoming rise of renewable energy infrastructure is a concern for us. We've been mobilized for 10 years around this topic, and I became involved with Alstom. There's a big test project in Paimpol. I coordinated the legal part at the time, and that helps me understand the issue, gauge the importance of it, and since then, via projects developed by France Énergie Marine and various national research agencies, we have worked on the socio-economic impact of these farms. And as part of the master's course for 10 years, we've had students doing internships in this field of business and now working on consortiums with energy companies or in law firms, the CEREMA, ADEME, and others. So we have sent legal experts to all these companies. Well, you talked about the importance of networking, and thank you to Parimat for taking the initiative of this Student Award, because it connects the academic world, the world of companies, and more specifically, the world of maritime and transport insurance. There are a lot of jobs in the sector of maritime and transport insurance. And this connection between academia, of course, the very famous Western Brittany University, and the world of maritime and transport insurance is essential. So thank you, Parimat, for this connection that I hope will be very fruitful. And to all of you who are listening, I hope that there are going to be students who can provide the best service with great skills. Yes, absolutely. And Yann-Marie has been recruited by EDF since his internship ended, and we are very happy for that. So, Mr. Yann-Marie Collat, we could spend hours talking, but we have very little time to talk about your dissertation. But 2 questions about your dissertation. The first one is, what is your connection between the topic of your dissertation, crisis management and offshore wind, and the transport insurance market? Well, about this question, I think that from the insurance chain to maritime shippers, all these players are now involved or interested in these new projects that are now being created in France. This is still very new, and the major risks caused by these projects are relatively unknown or lesser known. But like any industrial site, an offshore wind farm is exposed to specific risks and the onset of a crisis. We've got some examples, such as the collapse of a crane on an installation vessel last year, fires on electrical substations in China Sea, and my dissertation was a presentation of the major risks that these new facilities are subject to, and also looking at what measures can be put in place to remedy these risks, the setups in place on the government side and on the operator side to give an overall grasp of risk to the transport insurance market listening to us today. Thank you. What do you think are the specificities related to crisis management on an offshore wind farm? About the specificities, to me, there are 2. The first one is inherent to an offshore wind farm, the maritime context in which it fits. So you're not going to manage a crisis at sea as you would manage it on land. Both the players, the means and setups in place, this is completely different. So to me, this is the first specificity. This maritime specificity also extends to the facilities on these farms with dedicated foundations, wind turbines that are fairly peculiar for the intervention services and rescue services. And the second specificity that I highlight in my dissertation is that of the integration of the crisis management principles in the state architecture. you know about well-regulated plans. The best known of them is ORSEC. What's specific about offshore wind is the integration in the government system, which is specific. And so there's a maritime intervention plan, which is a dedicated and unique object that is found nowhere else on land or for ICPE facilities. You've got specific and internal operations plans. This is a unique object, this plan, and also the way it fits into the government crisis management setup. That's one of its specificities. And more generally, I think that offshore wind has been covered by a lot of specificities legally about the handling of recourse and other legal aspects that Ms. Guéguin is very familiar with. But you can realize that crisis management and the management of interventions on an offshore wind farm is not immune to these specificities. So if you agree, we'll challenge your answers with that of your internship manager, your project manager at EDF Renewables. As an operator, how are you tackling the safety issue? Thank you, President. Yann-Marie has explained everything very well. There's not much to add. Well, safety, EDF Renewables is has been the main player in offshore wind for 10 years. We've got constructions near Saint-Nazaire where we're building foundations. Elsewhere in Fécamp, operations will start next year. This is really very topical, and maritime safety, like other aspects, were baked into the development of these projects from the word go. And our desire is to build projects that safeguard human lives, property, and the environment with the best level of security. And then during the operations phase, we wanted the best coexistence between different users during the lifetime of these projects. So maritime safety goes through surveillance means, discussion with sea users, of course, and also being prepared for crises that are difficult to prepare. And that's why we have emergency planning. We have a crisis management setup, and I've had it for years because there were a lot of sea operations before these projects started. So we asked Yann-Marie to help 2 years ago to help us fine-tune our setup and our emergency planning systems, and he was of great help. So the adventure is going on with him, and I'm very proud of it and very grateful. Thank you, sir. I'm sorry, Yann-Marie. One last question, if you'll allow me, because we have about a minute left. Do you think that France, after your work in your dissertation, do you think that France is well prepared for the unpredictable that Mr. Monet was talking about in terms of maritime safety? In terms of maritime safety, I think that we've established a fairly mature setup, at least for the internal matters. For crisis management, operators of wind farms, they are well aware of how to measure the onset of a crisis, and they have the right resources in place. But I think that with the construction of these farms, it takes a lot of organization. These systems will be challenged with the installation and the happening of real cases. And anyway, that's my personal take, but I'm still persuaded that you're never 100% prepared for emergencies. But you can do everything we can so that systems are as operational as possible, and that goes through exercises and real cases. Farms are being built. Exercise periods are going to intensify. Our internal exercises are well established right now, but I think that we are reaching a maturity level that's going to evolve over the next few years with additional resources and adjustments made to some aspects. We were discussing about the possibilities that SNSM vessels will have to intervene on a farm. These are things that are challenged and that will change over time, but I think that we've reached a fairly comprehensive level of emergency preparedness. Well, thank you very much. And now I'm going to congratulate you for the Student Award 2021. Thank you to Parimat for once again taking this excellent initiative. Thank you so much. This is perfect. See you after a short partner break.